This is the new Sith Infiltrator, and this is actually my modified version. Using no extra pieces from one Sith Infiltrator, I managed to work in a smidge of interior space where the probe droids used to sit, while also improving the look of the exterior on both the top and the bottom of the ship. And honestly, it is kind of a stretch to call this interior space, since you can't fit much more than a single minifigure. However, I'm still pretty happy I was able to make it using just pieces from the set. But you guys already know, this video isn't about these mods. As neat as they aren't really cool enough for me to make instructions over, since it hardly does anything to the original set. And this was really just a small side project while I waited on the last set for this alternate build to show up. And now that it has, I can finally say that today I'm going to try and turn this pirate snub fighter plus these two Sith Infiltrators into the clone assassin ship from the Bad Batch. The two Sith Infiltrators should give me all the gray parts I need for its main body and the structure of the ship, while I got this pirate snub fighter for its cockpit piece. Then the rest of it will just help out as extra parts. But I've been super excited to get to work on this build. I'm really hoping this idea will pan out the way I want, because the Clone Assassin ship is just so cool. But there's only one way to find out, so I'm going to move to the desk behind me and we're going to get to work. Well, almost immediately after turning off the camera, I decided two Sith Infiltrators and a Pirate Snub Fighter is a bit much and a bit expensive. All three sets would have been $175 and 1,565 pieces. So now we're using a single infiltrator plus the one snub fighter, as well as the extra pieces the sets come with. But just like my last alternate build, I did have to use two extra hinge pieces that don't come in the set to accomplish some of the angles. And it's by no means perfect, but this is my Clone Assassin's CX Dagger Vessel from the Bad Batch. And in theme with my alternate builds now, I did try to make some purist minifigure upgrades. Now, none of the figs in this set are relevant to the alternate build, so I couldn't really upgrade them, but I did try out some part swaps. And all I really ended up with was a pirate pilot with brown sleeves, this Nikto bounty hunter using Saw's armor, and Saw Gerrera in a more casual robe. And I'll be the first to admit, these are kind of meaningless upgrades, but I do think these two guys look pretty cool. Now the build itself, I'm really happy with, but as I said, it's not perfect. In my videos, I'm typically very over the moon about my builds, but I'm trying to take a step back and be a little bit more critical, and there's definitely improvement to be made here. Most notably, these hinges on the outside. I wish I could have hid these behind some plates, but luckily the colors match everything around it, so they don't stick out too much. But other than that, the outside panels are very clean, they don't have a lot going on, just some of these wedge pieces near the cockpit, along with some ingots and tiles. And the two sides don't meet perfectly in the middle, there's a little bit of a gap left behind, so I did have to make this cover to hide some of the dead space. Coming from the nose of this ship, we'll cruise down these tiled edges where it points us towards the very apparent tail that this ship has. The two parts of the tail are just made of a ton of plates stacked on top of each other, with a tiny bit of detail on the sides up top. Then on either side, we have the two main engines on these angled panels, along with these super small secondary engines next to that. And the underside of the ship has a little bit going on with these two small cannons I added on. The ship in universe doesn't seem to have very visible blasters, but I wanted this alternate build to have a little bit of firepower, so I went ahead and snuck these cannons on the bottom. Then I also put these slope pieces next to them to help with the overall shape of the ship, but be warned, they are a little fragile in their connection to the main build. But now that we're back up top, let's look inside. We can fold open these two side panels and remove that gap cover in the middle, and we have full access to our interior space. Up at the front is the sleeping area slash jail cell. The dark tan pieces make up the comfy bed, then I went ahead and snuck a storage crate in the nose of the ship for any small thermal detonators or anything else. But make sure the studs on the lid of this crate are pointed towards the bed, because these studs also hold that gap cover up at the perfect height to match with the plates on the outside. Then very late in the build, I decided to build this small gate slash cell door so the Clone Assassin has a place to put his prisoners. It has a small opening function so you can actually put your prisoners in or out, and it's also super easy to take off if you just don't want it there and want to have more space for your minifigures. In the back corner, I made a small armory with some thermal detonators hanging on the wall, as well as this blaster and electro staff clipped to the sides. Then the opposite corner doesn't have anything besides another clip if you want to put in some more weapons. Now right between the two corners, we have our pilot seat. There's folding controls at the front that allow your pilot to hop in their seat, as well as two extra control panels on their armrests. And similar to the Sith Infiltrator, having a speeder for the pilot seat, in our case, the pilot seat doubles as a speeder. The entire assembly is attached with a single pin, and when it's removed, it sort of looks like it could pass for a small speeder. Not nearly as good looking as the one from the original set, but I think it works. And despite what I said earlier about needing some improvement, while it definitely does, I'm still really happy with the way it turned out. The alternate build does a good job resembling the ship from the TV show, and it's got a decent amount of playability too. And if you want to build this for yourself, I have full PDF building instructions available on my Patreon page right now. Let me know what you guys think of this build down in the comments below, and we just got a fresh batch of Star Wars sets on June 1st, and I know you guys are cooking with some good alternate build and mod ideas, so drop those down below as well. Here's to hoping we can see some more official Bad Batch sets in the future.